Hello, I'm Helen Hughes. Daycare centres throughout Australia staged demonstrations today against federal government cuts to childcare spending. Staff say the cuts will lead to a rise in fees at centres. Some say they will lose children to cheaper forms of childcare.
Join Ray Deneen and Anna Manzoni for all the news tonight at 6.
This is the first time such an event as this has been staged to coincide with Senior Citizens Week, where senior citizens can take part displaying their handicraft or just enjoy seeing the work of others. A wide variety of crafts was on display in the downstairs area, while upstairs 200 paintings and drawings from such notables as Peter Butler were for sale. 20% commission from all sales of these and their ceramics went to the Senior Citizens Fund. The organiser of the one-day event, which closes at 8 o'clock tonight, is former Newcastle Alderman Alma Tate, who headed a lineup of dignitaries on hand for the opening ceremony.
And I was very honoured actually to be asked by Alma Tate to come along today to see what you're doing and to declare officially open this arts and crafts display. Congratulations to everybody.
Merriweather Beach was the venue for the final training session of the Newcastle branch squad before they head south on Sunday. In the 3 years the Intercity title has been held, Newcastle has won all three. This year there is once again a lot of talent in the side. The 20-man squad took home 15 medals between them at the state titles a fortnight ago. Many of the boys are competitive in several events. For example, Graham Berg from Swansea Belmont has been winning in swim, beach sprint and flag events. According to coach Greg Kelly, it's that all-round talent that makes the local branch a winner.
I think our greatest strength is our all-round ability throughout the team. There's not one particular area where we're extremely strong. Everyone just seems to be able to handle all areas quite capable.
So we're scoring a lot of points in any carnival?
Yeah, very much so. We've got board paddlers that are top sprinters and sprinters that do flags and also that are good swimmers. So each of these guys, you know, they're just got that much ability in every area, and that's always been our greatest strength.
How are we going to go this Sunday?
Oh, another win for sure. I think Newcastle's going to make it 4 in a row. I'm quite confident of that. After the results of the state titles a fortnight ago, out of the 20-member team, there was 15 medals brought home, and I think if that's any indication of how the team's going to go, I think there's another one for Newcastle.
Professor Peter Singer from Monash University and Nick Tonti-Filippini, an ethicist from St Vincent's Hospital, represent two facets of medicine that are continually at loggerheads over the proposed bill to restrict embryonic experimentation. Professor Singer says the bill isn't necessary.
I say that I really don't see the need for the bill at all. It seems to me that the National Health and Medical Research Council has guidelines on experimentation which have regulated experimentation quite successfully. I don't believe that there's been any abuse of experimentation in the area of the embryo. We have to remember that human embryos are lost all the time. In the natural course of events, at least half, perhaps 3/4 of fertilised human embryos are naturally lost and never turn into children, and a great number more are destroyed by the use of IUDs, which actually work by preventing embryos from implanting in the womb.
I don't have the confidence in the National Health and Medical Research Council that Peter is expressing. I think that this is an issue which should be put to the Parliament, put to the elected representatives to decide. I think it is a very important issue, and I don't think anybody denies that. That it's an issue that really needs to be decided as a policy matter for our community. So I think it is vitally important that legislation be put to the Parliament and the legislation be expressed in the best possible way, which is the function of the Senate committee. So I think it's important that all this goes through and we get a chance to examine it, to see what its effects are, and have our representatives make a decision about it. I mean, that's a democratic process. The National Health and Medical Research Council, in its function in these sorts of respects, is basically replacing the democratic functions of our society.
At about 11:30. His mother, aunt and uncle were standing on the World War II battery on Shepherd's Hill taking photos. They turned their backs and he was gone.
He usually just wanders around. We're just only 2 minutes it was.
Yeah.
And he walked and we come around, we couldn't find him anyway, so we're looking everywhere for him, let straight down the police.
Police combed the area, searching the scrub and canvassing nearby houses. And the rescue helicopter made numerous sweeps of the cliff face. At first it was thought that the boy may have wandered into the disused military underground tunnels and rooms. Police called for the assistance of 14-year-old Adam Bromfield, who lives nearby and has explored the tunnels many times.
They all join up, which we've searched the area, but he's nowhere under there that we know of, so I don't think he could be lost down there.
So there's no... The ground search continued when the tunnels drew a blank. Police rescue squad abseilers scaled an 80-metre cliff, but the search ended tragically. The boy's body was found just after 2 o'clock at the bottom of this cliff.
As if it wasn't hot enough in Singleton today, with temperatures in excess of 30 degrees, the Army and the Air Force did their bit to make things even hotter. Today's spectacular firepower display was part of Exercise El Alamein, a progressive series of military activities over several weeks at various Australian military installations. The Army calls them orchestrated demonstrations, and this one was the impressive first for the year at Singleton. First off the rank were the Air Force's Iroquois helicopters, which were involved in the Vietnam War. The Mirage fighter and the F-111 were next, with a blitzing, strafing and bombing run on the range. The main purpose of the exercise is to give cadets from Duntroon and New Zealand a look at real-life combat. The top brass was also there, and for those involved, it's a rare chance to take part in an exercise that is very close to the action of combat. It was an impressive spectacle, but as the artillery launched into its part of the show, the commentator informed us the bomb loads had been reduced in a bid to limit any damage and to reduce the noise complaints from local residents. The whole range was shaken by the shock waves as the artillery shells from the 105mm guns and the 155mm howitzers blasted their target areas. The firepower display will continue into the night with the infantry, the Army Aviation Division and the paratroopers doing their bit.
When rain and wind decided to interrupt a family fair on the Wyong Hospital grounds, the next best venue was chosen, and so stalls, attractions and people were moved inside to the Occupational and Physiotherapy Activities Centre. The fair was organised by the Wyong District Hospital Auxiliary, who have raised thousands of dollars over the past 21 years. It was through their efforts that the hospital's blood bank and kiosk were opened in 1984. Today, the final donation for the new hospital car park was accepted, and special guest was former Minister for Health, but now Minister for Transport, Ron Newman. Plans for more hospital amenities will be made later this year, and today, despite the wet and crowded conditions, everyone was helping to support the cause.
The
Director of the National Parks and Wildlife Service, John Whitehouse, listed the main activities undertaken within the park in priority order as relaxing, swimming, camping, looking at the scenery and motorboating. Problems in the park were seen to be the pressure on the ecology, water skiing and swimming safety. However, Mr Whitehouse said the survey result indicated the public did not agree with the extreme option of a power boating ban, nor with the other of no control at all. The Director said the most acceptable compromise seems to be for speed restrictions and zones for different types of boating activities. A spokesman for the National Parks Service could not say today if and when any of the information gleaned from the survey would be put into practice. While on the subject of the Myall Lakes, the Minister for Planning and the Environment, Bob Carr, has announced the addition of a 15-hectare holding to the park. Mr Carr said the land adjacent to Dirty Creek near Narong has been bought from a private landholder.
Sailcraft that have no alternative power source covering large areas of this lake.
Value of the park and makes its boundary easier to manage.
The immediate cause of the widening rift between the Catholic Church and the parents of its students is the introduction of a building fund levy for each student. The Federation says parents are angry that they have not been consulted about the need for the levy and how it will be used. Since last November, the issue has widened into one of whether there should be some consultation of parents on all major decisions. Parents see the Catholic Education Office, and in particular its Director Monsignor Coollahan, as heavy-handed and dictatorial. After repeated requests for discussion on the issue, the Federation received last week a letter from the Bishop of Maitland, Reverend Leo Clark, outlining the reasons for the levy. But according to the Federation, the letter does not address the issue of consultation.
The Federation executive currently are placed in a bit of a dilemma because we're pushing for parental involvement, but we just can't get the discussion and consultation we're looking for.
Is the executive happy with the one letter of communication that they've received from the church?
I'd have to say no to that. I think with the building levy issue, many parents are still not very happy about the way the building levy was imposed, and nor are they very happy with the answer that's come out from the Board of Financial Administration.
Once again today, both Monsignor Coollahan and Bishop Clark were not available for comment. The Federation believes that the Church's continued silence means that it has no intention of changing its mind, either about the building fund levy or consulting parents.
This is all that remains of a Ford F350 truck after colliding with a fair-lane taxi on the New England Highway at Whittingham, 3 kilometres south of Singleton. The accident happened at around 8:30 this morning, when police believe the taxi, driven by 21-year-old Lynn Lantry from Singleton, veered onto the wrong side of the road, travelling north towards the city. The vehicle collided head-on with the Electricity Commission truck, killing the driver, a 53-year-old Sydney man, instantly. There were no passengers involved. Rescue teams and ambulancemen worked frantically to free both bodies from the twisted wreckage.
The court was told of several arguments between the couple from the time they were married in February 1981. The arguments ended in violence sometimes, including several occasions when the man tried to strangle the woman, threw a chair at her and threw her onto the ground when she was pregnant and dragged her by her hair. The court was told that on August the 5th last year, an argument developed in a panel van over the man's relationship with a 15-year-old girl. He produced a rifle and allegedly fired several shots. In the ensuing struggle, the defendant aimed and fired the rifle at the man, killing him. She pleaded self-defence to the charge of manslaughter and was cleared of any charge relating to her husband's death.
Graham, seen here scoring for Western Suburbs, had his lip badly split and an ear so badly gashed that it required the services of a specialist. His club play either Bradford Northern or Bramley in the Challenge Cup semi-final at the weekend, and Graham has vowed to take his place in the team. He will return to Newcastle toward the end of June, but his plans for the local scene are unknown.
God, that was a big goal.
The National Trust already boasts several success stories in Maitland: the majestic Rossman House, which is trust-owned and operated, and Bruff House, which is run by Maitland City Council as an art gallery. Last night, in the presence of Ian Ray, the President of the National Trust of Australia, the wheels were set in motion to strengthen that association by forming a Maitland branch. While the intention is to step up activity in Maitland, it's also in keeping with National Trust policy to operate at a grassroots level. The National Trust has to date been run through a Hunter Regional Committee, administering Newcastle, Lake Macquarie, Maitland, Muswellbrook and Taree. According to Committee Chairman Barney Collins, the Trust must decentralise further in order to function effectively.
If it becomes a centralised body that remains sort of operational out of, say, Sydney or Newcastle, unless we get back down into the individual communities of society, it's not going to work. So it's got to be run by people, for people.
Judging of the live animals commenced this morning before a gallery of some 100 local beef producers, many of whom had stock entered in the Fat Cattle Show. 173 head were appraised, the majority showing the benefits of 2 drought-free growing years. The variety of breeds and crossbreeds penned indicated a very progressive approach by Nungoshire beef producers, keen to increase their per beast and per hectare productivity.
Hoof and hook competitions are important to beef producers for a number of reasons. It allows them the chance to find out how their breeding programs are progressing compared with those of their neighbours. It also keeps them in touch with consumer trends and wants. What the judge looks for today is a beast that you'd like to have on your table tomorrow.
Manning District Beef Cattle Officer Tony Gowdron was one of the judges. He said while some of the animals were overfat and others underfinished, the champion heavyweights, these Santa Gertruda steers, entered by George Richards of Paterson, were prime examples of what the local trade needed.
If we're looking for for fat cattle in fat cattle classes, the good growth for age, good muscling, and particularly along the top line and down through the hind quarter, and an ideal amount of finish.
The Dungog Gresford Hoof and Hook competition continues tomorrow, with the killing of the entries at the Maitland Abattoir and the judging and inspection of carcasses on Saturday.